What if the key to happiness wasn't to chase more, but to let go of almost everything? 2,500 years ago, one man whispered truths that the modern world is only now beginning to understand. His name? Lao Tzu. If you're over 40, you've probably noticed this. The more you try to control life, the more chaotic it feels. Today, we'll explore 7 ancient lessons from Lao Tzu, lessons that speak directly to the heart of our modern struggles: stress, identity, fulfillment. And stay until the end, you'll see why one simple shift in thinking could bring more peace than 1,000 self-help books. Live in harmony with nature, the wisdom we forgot. At some point in adulthood, usually after 40, you start to feel it. Not a scream. Not even a whisper. But a quiet ache in your chest, a tension you can't name. You look at your calendar, your inbox, the endless noise in your mind, and wonder, is this it? We spend decades building, chasing, organizing, controlling. But then a strange truth emerges. The more we try to hold it all together, the more we feel like we're falling apart. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese sage, saw this 2,500 years ago. He offered no commandments, no rigid doctrine. Just a quiet invitation. Man follows the earth. Earth follows heaven. Heaven follows the Tao. The Tao follows what is natural. Let that sink in. The Tao, the ultimate source of all things, follows what is natural. Not forced. Not manufactured. Not optimized. Natural. We weren't meant to fight the current. Nature never hurries. Yet the river flows, the tree grows, the seasons arrive exactly on time. But we rush breakfast, cut conversations short, feel guilty when we rest. We overthink, overplan, overreact. We believe the more pressure we apply, the more progress we make. But what if the opposite were true? What if peace, purpose, and even success come not from controlling life, but from aligning with it? You felt it before, those rare moments. A morning walk with no phone. The breeze brushing your face. The sound of birds unconcerned with news or deadlines. In those moments, you don't feel behind. You feel alive. Not because anything got done, but because you remembered who you are. A human being, not a human machine. Living in harmony with nature isn't about moving to the forest. It's not about quitting your job or meditating for hours. It's about slowing down enough to listen again. To recognize when your body says, rest. When your spirit whispers, let go. It's choosing presence over performance. Enough over more. Flow over force. Because nature doesn't resist. And when you stop resisting, too, something surprising happens. Life starts to meet you where you are. A tree doesn't try to be taller. It just grows, asterisk asterisk. You don't need to be more than you already are. You don't need to compete with the noise outside. You only need to return it quietly, slowly, to your own rhythm. Nature teaches us. Everything has a season. Everything blooms in its time. Nothing blooms all year. So maybe your soul isn't broken. Maybe it's just wintering. And maybe, just maybe, what you need isn't more effort, but more trust. So breathe. Watch the clouds drift. Listen to the rain fall. Let the wind pass through you, asterisk asterisk. You are not behind. You are not late. You are part of something timeless. Live in harmony with nature. And life will begin to feel like life again. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Lao Tzu. Let go of control, the power of surrender. There comes a moment in every life when we look around and realize we've tried everything. We've planned, managed, scheduled, pushed, fixed. And still, things fall apart. Relationships drift. Careers stall. Health changes. People we love don't behave the way we wish they would. And no matter how tightly we grip the wheel, life keeps reminding us we're not fully in control. It's terrifying. And yet, it might be the most beautiful realization we ever come to. Lao Tzu said, by letting go, it all gets done. At first glance, that sounds ridiculous. Let go? And expect life to take care of itself? But think for a moment. When have you ever forced someone to love you and it truly worked? When did obsessing over a problem ever bring you peace? When has clinging ever made something last longer? Exactly. Control is an illusion we cling to because we're scared. But it's also the very thing that creates our suffering. The more we try to control life, the more it controls us. Letting go isn't weakness. It's wild strength. It takes real courage to say, I don't have all the answers. I don't know what's next. And that's okay. It takes maturity to accept that we can influence, but not command. We can plant seeds, but not control the harvest. We can love people, but not shape their every move. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is giving in to something wiser than fear. A strange truth, life flows better when you stop trying to force it. Have you noticed? Sometimes the job you didn't get led to the life you actually needed. Sometimes the relationship that ended was the beginning of your real healing. Sometimes, when you stopped chasing, peace found you. When you step back, the right things often step forward. That's not magic. That's the Tao. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care with open hands, asterisk asterisk. It means you trust your efforts, then surrender the outcome. It means you love people, but allow them to be who they are. It means you make plans, but remain flexible when life takes a detour. It's not passive. It's deeply engaged, but unattached. That's the paradox. You become more powerful the moment you stop trying to control everything. Think of water. It doesn't resist. It doesn't panic. It flows around obstacles. And over time, it shapes mountains. Be like that. Let go of the need to always know. Let go of the pressure to always be right. Let go of the belief that life must go your way in order to be meaningful. The truth? It often turns out better than your plan. So breathe. Release the grip. Stop micromanaging the universe, asterisk asterisk. You were never meant to carry it all. You were meant to trust, to flow, to respond, not to control. And when you finally let go, you'll discover something astonishing. Life was never working against you. It was just waiting for you to loosen your grip. The more you let go, the more you gain. Lao Tzu. Embrace simplicity. The peace you've been looking for was never complicated. At a certain age, you begin to realize something no one told you when you were younger. More isn't always better. And busy doesn't mean meaningful. You look around your life. The drawers full of gadgets, the closets bursting with clothes, the schedule stacked with obligations. And yet, despite all of it, your soul whispers a quiet truth. I'm tired. Not from effort. From clutter. Not just physical clutter, but mental, emotional, spiritual clutter. Too many choices. Too much noise. Too little peace. And so, like a breath of mountain air, comes the wisdom of Lao Tzu. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simplicity isn't poverty. It's clarity, asterisk asterisk. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about freeing yourself. Freeing yourself from things that steal your time. Freeing yourself from people who drain your energy. Freeing yourself from expectations that were never truly yours. When you simplify your life, you don't lose value. You reclaim it. You begin to see what actually matters. You begin to feel again. To breathe. To live. Ask yourself, what are you carrying that you don't need? That subscription you never use. That fear of what others think. That toxic friendship you keep out of habit. That story in your head that says, I'm only worthy when I'm productive. Let it go. Because every yes to the wrong thing is a silent no to the life you really want. Simplicity is not an aesthetic. It's a spiritual practice. It's the courage to stop chasing and start choosing. Nature shows us the way. The oak tree doesn't decorate itself. It just stands. Strong. Still. Whole. The stars don't compete. They simply shine. Everything in nature operates with breathtaking simplicity. And yet, nothing is missing. So why do we believe that our lives must be so complicated to be meaningful? Who taught us that fulfillment is found in more? The truth? Most of what we're searching for is already within reach. Once we clear the clutter. When you embrace simplicity, you create space. Space to think, to rest, to be present with someone you love. You begin to trade noise for stillness, hurry for peace, status for soul. And in that space, you find yourself again. Not the version shaped by pressure and comparison, but the quiet, real you. The one who's been waiting patiently underneath it all. So simplify. Not someday. Now, asterisk asterisk. Clear a drawer. Cancel a commitment. Say no without guilt. Choose the slower path. You'll be surprised how quickly your heart says thank you. Because the life you crave is not buried in more stuff, more speed, more success. It's already here. Simple. Soft. Sacred. Let go of the excess. Return to what's essential. And you'll discover simplicity isn't empty. It's full of everything that matters, asterisk asterisk. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Lao Tzu. Practice stillness, because some answers only arrive in silence. The older we get, the louder life becomes. There's the physical noise, traffic, phones, endless notifications. But even more deafening is the internal noise. The to-do list that never ends. The regrets from the past. The worries about the future. The voice that whispers, you should be doing more. We become so used to motion that stillness feels unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But maybe that's exactly why we need it. Lao Tzu, the quiet sage of ancient China, once wrote, "Silence is a source of great strength." At first, that sounds strange. We're taught strength comes from action, from decisiveness, from doing. But Lao Tzu saw something deeper. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Stillness isn't emptiness. It's presence, asterisk asterisk. It's sitting in a room with no distractions and not reaching for your phone. It's taking a walk without music and listening to the wind instead of words. It's watching your thoughts pass by like clouds in the sky without chasing them. Stillness isn't lazy. It's awake, alive, engaged in a deeper kind of listening. Because some wisdom can't be found in books. It only arrives in silence. Why are we so afraid to be still? Because in the stillness, you can finally hear what your soul has been trying to say. And sometimes, that voice is inconvenient. It might tell you the job you've spent 20 years doing is slowly killing your spirit. It might remind you of dreams you've buried. It might ask you to forgive someone you swore you'd never speak to again. Stillness isn't always peaceful, but it is always honest. And when you stop running, when you sit long enough to hear that voice, something beautiful happens. Clarity returns. Look at water. When it's agitated, you can't see through it. But when it becomes still, everything becomes clear. The same is true for you. When you are still, you remember what actually matters. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop striving. You start being. And life begins to feel lighter. Not because anything outside changed, but because you did. Stillness isn't a luxury. It's a necessity, asterisk asterisk. Especially after 40, when the speed of life starts catching up with your spirit. You don't need another productivity hack. You don't need to fill every gap with noise. You need time to simply be. To rest. To reflect. To allow space for truth to surface. Because in the stillness, you find more than peace. You find yourself. So practice it. Even in small ways. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. Turn off the TV. Drive without music. Resist the urge to scroll. Let the silence stretch. Let the stillness settle. Let your nervous system breathe. Because stillness isn't absence. It's presence. And the more you practice it, the more you'll realize. You were never meant to move at the world's pace. You were meant to move at the pace of your soul. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Lao Tzu. Trust the natural flow of life, because forcing it never worked anyway. Somewhere along the way, we were taught. Work harder. Push through. Make things happen. We were told that life bends to willpower. That struggle means progress. That rest is for the weak. So we hustle. We worry. We grind our way through life, believing that control equals success. But one day, usually somewhere past 40, you start to feel the cracks. You did everything right. But something still feels off. And then, from the quiet voice of the Tao, comes this strange invitation. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Resist them and you create sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let reality be reality. Not what you want it to be. Not what you fear it might be. Just as it is. What if life isn't a mountain to conquer, but a river to flow with, asterisk asterisk? Think about it. The river doesn't force its way forward. It doesn't argue with rocks. It curves. It yields. It adapts. And in doing so, it gets where it needs to go. You, too, are part of that flow. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You started believing your value came from resistance. From effort. From always being on. But what if peace, real peace, isn't found in fighting life, but in trusting it? But what if things go wrong? They might. And still, you'll find your way. You have before, haven't you? You've survived heartbreak. You've navigated loss. You've rebuilt after disappointment. And none of it came from forcing life to follow your script. It came from letting go. From trusting that even the hard chapters had purpose. And that somehow, life was still unfolding in your favor. The Tao teaches us to act without forcing. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you stop gripping. You still plant. Still show up. Still care. But you release the pressure to control every outcome. You let things bloom in their own season. You accept detours as part of the journey. You trade anxiety for trust. And in that trust, you begin to feel light again. Not because the path is easy, but because you're no longer resisting it. Look back at your life. The moments that mattered most. The people, the breakthroughs, the peace. They didn't come from pushing harder. They arrived when you surrendered. When you let go. When you stopped swimming upstream. This is the paradox. When you trust the flow of life, you arrive exactly where you're meant to be. So breathe. Step out of the current of worry. Stop trying to control the tide, asterisk asterisk. Life is wiser than your fear. It knows where to take you. It always has. Let go of the map. Follow the river. And trust. You're not lost. You're just not in control. And that might be the best thing that ever happened to you. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Lao Tzu. Be content with less, because the more you have, the less you feel. There's something nobody warns you about when you're young. You can have a house full of things and still feel empty. A calendar full of events and still feel lonely. A closet full of clothes and still not know who you are. In a world that screams more, faster, now, Lao Tzu whispers something different. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. Let that sink in. The real poverty isn't having too little. It's never feeling like you have enough. We keep chasing more money, more comfort, more praise, more stuff. But every time we reach more, it moves. And so we run harder. But the finish line never arrives. And somewhere past 40, you start to wonder, what if I'd been chasing the wrong thing all along? Enough isn't a number. It's a mindset, asterisk asterisk. You can live in a small home and feel rich with gratitude. You can wear the same favorite clothes and feel elegant, grounded, simple. You can have fewer friends, but real ones. Less noise, but more meaning. When you stop looking outside for enough, you begin to find it inside. And that's where it was all along. But won't I fall behind if I don't want more? Behind who? The race you're running. Did you choose it, or were you pushed into it? What if you didn't need to impress anyone anymore? What if peace was more valuable than success? What if happiness wasn't in achieving, but in appreciating? Lao Tzu taught. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Not because you own more, but because you need less. Be honest, how much of what you own do you actually love? The kitchen gadget collecting dust. The fifth pair of shoes that pinch your feet. The subscription you forgot to cancel. These things don't add value. They subtract space from your home, from your time, from your clarity. Every item you release is a weight lifted. Every need you let go of brings you closer to freedom. Contentment doesn't mean settling. It means awakening, asterisk asterisk. It's not about giving up your dreams. It's about realizing what truly matters. It's about sitting on your porch with a cup of tea and feeling full without needing anything else. It's about seeing your partner's smile and realizing this moment is enough. It's about knowing that the richness of life was never measured in square footage, paychecks, or likes. So choose less and feel more, asterisk asterisk. Fewer obligations, more time, fewer distractions, more presence, fewer wants, more joy. Because in the end, what you don't need might be exactly what sets you free. To enjoy what you have is to be rich. Lao Tzu. Led without forcing, because true influence begins where ego ends. We've been taught that to lead, you must be loud, decisive, charismatic. You must command attention, impose your will, take charge. But over time, after leading teams, raising families, facing conflict, you begin to sense a deeper truth. Real leadership isn't about control. It's about presence. And few understood that better than Lao Tzu. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did it ourselves." That kind of leadership doesn't shout. It doesn't dominate. It doesn't need to. Because it leads from the inside out. True leaders don't push. They guide, ***. They don't react from ego. They respond from wisdom. They don't force solutions. They create space for truth to emerge. They don't strive to be the center of attention. They strive to help others shine. Leadership, in this way, becomes a quiet art. Of listening deeply. Of moving gently. Of trusting the process. But isn't that weakness? No. It's strength of the rarest kind. It's the strength to be still when others panic. To admit you don't know, instead of pretending you do. To inspire through calm, not chaos. You've seen it. The teacher who never raises their voice, yet commands deep respect. The parent who listens more than lectures. The elder whose silence speaks volumes. This is Lao Tzu's kind of power. Not the power to force others to follow, but the power to make them want to. To lead without forcing. Requires you to let go of your need to be right, ***. It requires trust. In yourself, in others, and in the timing of life. You don't rush growth. You water it. You don't dictate every move. You model integrity. You don't micromanage. You empower. You stop needing credit. And start creating impact. And when you do that, you begin to lead from the most powerful place there is. Humility. This applies everywhere. In the workplace, where leadership is too often confused with control. In parenting, where forcing obedience can destroy connection. In relationships, where trying to fix others keeps you from truly loving them. In yourself, where constantly pushing can drown out your inner voice. The Tao teaches, when you stop forcing, life flows more freely, and so do the people around you. So lead quietly. Lead with trust. Led by becoming the kind of person others feel safe around, ***. You don't need a title to lead. You just need alignment. Alignment with wisdom. With patience. With compassion. Because in the end, people don't remember how loud you were. They remember how safe they felt when they were with you. The best leaders are those the people hardly know exist. Lao Tzu. If even one of these lessons made you pause and think, that's the power of Lao Tzu. Which one spoke to you most? Let me know in the comments. And if you're on a journey to live with more peace, purpose, and simplicity, subscribe now. We share timeless wisdom every week. Backhand index pointing right. Remember, you're not too old. You're just finally old enough to understand. If you found this helpful, you'll love our next video.